Done.
That'll do. That'll
Okay.
do.
They just press.
Yeah, so you guys, as long as you accepted the recording.
Yeah. Hi, everybody. I'm Chelsea Jean.
I'm Dr. Oz.
And I am Loz, and we are here to help you guys make a difference in your lives by coming together every single week on Zoom at 11 o'clock, Australian Eastern Standard Time. See you soon.
And you're going to let them people in.
Yep. So I can let them in now if you want.
Yeah.
Cool.
How exciting is this? And it even goes ding dong, like they're here. That's beautiful. Hi, Janice.
Hello.
Hello.
Hello. How are you?
Oh, I'm great, actually. Thank you.
Yay! Thanks for turning up, being the first person in our show, in our group.
Oh,
do you have a prize for her or something?
Yes.
I'm always on time for meetings, Chelsea. Always.
Yes. Well done.
We should promote this with a prize or something. So the first one who actually logs in or something, they get a prize.
And the first person to ask
or the person
question.
with more questions. I don't know, something like that. So we get more.
I don't know that question. I'm just here to hear the great information. Yeah.
Well, thanks for joining us. We've got Michelle. She's in. Hey, Michelle. And we've got Mira. She's joining somewhere. So
I just ask a question, please, Loz. For me to see everybody's face, do I have it on speaker or gallery? I've got it on gallery at the moment, but I can only see 4 faces.
Yep. So if you go to gallery, you should be able to see. So there's Oz, you, myself, Janice, and then we've got Michelle down the bottom, and Mira's still joining. So you can go to hide. Yeah, there's a few different ones you can do. You can make it a full screen, but gallery is normally the best way to see it.
Okay. Well, it's testing me, so please just
It's all right.
Okay, so now I've pretty much got rid of everybody and don't see anybody's faces. Show non-participants. Oh, you keep talking, I press buttons.
Yep. Okay.
All
so
right.
guys, welcome to our weekly live. So just a couple of housekeeping rules. So this is being recorded. So when you logged on, you would have noticed that you had to press a little thing to accept its consent. So it will be getting recorded. We will be using this and republishing it for people to tune in at a later date. If you have questions to share and you're happy with being on a recording, it would be great to see your friendly faces. If you could keep your cameras on, that would be awesome. And keep your mics muted. That would be awesome, especially if you've got lots of background noise, children, animals, angry people living in your house, roadworks, all of those things. Otherwise, if you would prefer to remain anonymous, please use the chat function, which you can normally locate at the bottom of your screen, and ask questions. I'll be monitoring the chat, so I'll be able to see if anybody's got things to ask. You can also raise your hand if you do have a question. Normally, there's little reactions that you can use. If you're not used to using Zoom, you can use the reactions button. But it's great to have you here. Chelsey is going to take over a little bit from now, and then I'll come back, and then Oz will have a chat.
Yeah. Thank you, Loz. So hello, everybody watching live. Thank you for joining live, being very, very brave. And also thank you to those who are going to be watching on replay, because we know that one time doesn't suit everybody, but we are like really happy to hear your comments after the fact as well and go from there. So why are we here and why are we doing this? And for those of you who follow us three, we've got Dr. Oz, Loz, and myself. We are so passionate about bringing people together and helping them. We love forming a community of like-minded people who just want to give you information, help you on your journey, like just a little story from me this morning is like I take the same walk with my dogs most mornings, the same. I see the same things. I do the same routine. My dog knows the same thing. Today, I didn't have poo bags. So I'm like, I can't do the same route because I don't want my dog to poo on people's yards, right? So I went a different way, and I went down this path, and then I found this big open area, and my dogs loved it. And I was just in the moment, and I'm like, wow, like this is 5-minute walk from my house, and I didn't even know that it existed. So what we want to offer you guys is maybe some different ways to look at things and give you opportunities to change and the steps to take to do that. So I'm super excited to be here with Dr. Oz and Loz. We all have different ideas, but we all come together for the same purpose. So the way that I explain things, the way that Loz explains things, and the way that Dr. Oz explains things, we're all going to get you to the same point. But one little story that you hear from Loz or from Oz might be the poo bag that gets you to change your way and get you back on the path of feeling great and increasing your energy and your well-being and detoxifying and getting rid of inflammation and motivation. And you're going to hear it all. So I'm looking forward to every Wednesday. I'm super pumped, and can't wait to hear the changes that we're going to make in your life. Yeah?
How's that sound? Everyone's like, yes. Everyone's super motivated. And thanks for joining us live for our first one, because, you know, things like this, they take a little bit of time to build. And when you've got, you know, 3 individuals like, you know, Oz, myself, and Chelsey, the reality is that we are teaching people how to think outside the box. And for today's conversation, that's really what we want to start opening up, you know, the channels to. So I think the last couple of years have taught us socially that sometimes things break. Sometimes the things that you've been doing the whole time don't work anymore. And, you know, with all of the challenges we've gone through with health systems, I think a lot of people are now a little bit more resigned to the fact that there are other things out there that they can use, that they can learn about to help them make more informed decisions when it comes to empowering themselves to have a longer, happier, more healthful life. And, you know, we've got different types of systems that I think socially are very normalized. A lot of people rely on those systems. But the last 2 years have sort of educated a lot of people that there is a capacity to think outside the box. And actually, when you can bridge and integrate lots of different styles of healing, that's when most people find they get great results. And so obviously all of us are representing different parts of that spectrum. We've got Oz, who's going to share some of his story very, very shortly. We've got Oz, who's come from the background of, you know, medicine and homeopathy in terms of like his scope. You've got Chelsey, who's come from the naturopathy and healing with manual therapy, massage, and moving into lymphatic system health. And then you've got myself, who on a personal level has experienced lots and lots of shifts. So I was put through the ringer with a lot of health professionals and given lots of labels. And that actually gave me opportunity to start asking questions. And I always believe that you should question everything. And the old version of me never would do that. I would trust that the person that was speaking to me was a clear source of truth. That didn't necessarily work. So I've been on my own journey. And as a consequence, I've moved into fitness, education in food, and looking at people building healthy habits. So eating, breathing, sleeping, moving, and hydrating. And there are reasons that all of us move from one part of the spectrum slightly a little bit left of field. And normally that's based on personal experience. And so I'd love to sort of explore a little bit more with Oz more specifically. How did you end up being in this conversation with myself and Chelsey? Where did it all start and why did it change for you?
As you say, well, first of all, hello everybody, and thank you very much for being here. And how everything started. Well, look, since I have use of memory, I always wanted to be a doctor. And there was no one in front of me to tell me not to do so. Yeah, like my parents were happy, oh, you're going to be a doctor. And I wanted to be a pediatrician. That was my goal. Like, I never have a doubt on that. So I started studying I went to med school, started studying, and yeah, I was like, focus on medicine. Everything was medicine for me. Then I got one subject in homeopathic medicine. And this professor was talking a lot about the psychology of the patients, like how homeopathy links to the emotional state of the patient and how that actually makes you ill. And I was, okay, that sounds different from any knowledge I have so far. I'm talking when I was in maybe year 2, year 3 at the school, at the uni. And then I liked that, and I started kind of getting more into that, learning more about homeopathy. I did at the same time that I was doing medicine, I said, okay, I'm going to do this master's in homeopathy. So I was doing that, and then my wife is a testimony of this. She was always sick. When I met her, she was my girlfriend, and she was
She's
always
right in the air, by the way. She's in
yeah.
she's in this live right now. This is Mira waving.
So she was always sick, migraines, colic pains, infections, and those things. So she couldn't breathe. Like she would sleep sitting up. So I told her, let's go with one of my professors, one of the the specialists for the nose and the things. Let's see what he said. And he said, okay, yes, we have to operate your nose. You have to operate. You have polyps. We have to reduce them. I said, okay. Then I told her, why if we go with someone else? I wasn't really happy with that answer. We ended going with 5 different specialists. All of them told us the same thing. She needed surgery. The funny thing is that the 5 surgeries are completely different one from another. So to me, that was like, okay, this is not making any sense to me. Medicine should be the same. If you have a problem, you should have one solution for that, and everybody should get to the same solution. Yes, the same solution was the surgery, but what they were going to operate something different. One was going to operate the bone, the other one the polyps, the other one for everything. So by then, I was getting more immersed into homeopathy. Then we decided not to have any operation, and go with one of the professors in homeopathy and say, okay, can you treat her? Well, in 1 month, she didn't have any migraine. Like, we're talking that migraines were at least once a month, and she will stay on bed like for 2 or 3 days, everything dark, like really like vomiting and with all these symptoms. In 1 month, she didn't have any headache at all. In 1 month, she didn't have any respiratory problem. In 1 month, she didn't have any colic or anything happening. Well, say, okay, 1 month, anyone can fix 1 month, right? Well, when this extended to 6 months, not having any problems, okay, this is different. Something is happening here. Anyway, I get more immersed into homeopathy. I went to do my internship, and I was in a hospital at night by myself, with all these patients there in after surgeries or with chronic disease or critical care and the things. And I will get my little remedy box of homeopathic medicines, and I will stay all night talking with my patients, like with the patients there, trying to go through the motions and the things and give them something like some homeopathic medication that I thought. Every night I was having a shift. Nurses were happy for me to be there. They say, like, are you going to give your medication to the patient? I say, yes. Why? Because every time you're here, we have the quietest nights for the whole week. Like, we don't have any patient complaining. We don't have any complication. I don't know what you're giving to them, but keep doing that. I said, well, just get quiet, because if you say something, I get, they were not really open to that. Doctors were not open to that. And that's how I started getting into this. And then many other things happened in my life. And I just decided homeopathy is my thing. I like this. I practiced as a GP for many years, and comparing results with one and another. I decided, look, as a GP, I'm treating illnesses. As a homeopath, I'm preventing illnesses. So what do I prefer to do? The right type of medicine or the wrong type of medicine? Like, wrong type of medicine to me is when you have to cure someone, because then it's difficult. Then you have complications. Then there are many other things happening. But when you prevent medicine, when you prevent illnesses, like, you change the lifestyle of the patient, you teach them how to eat, you teach them how to exercise, you give them something that is not cause any sort of complication or side effect. And then to me, that was the right type of medicine. And then is when I decided that this is my field, this is what I do. And with the years, I just started adding a few other things to the equation, which is maybe another story to talk about. But that was basically how I got into this field.
And so if you don't mind indulging, there are some people that might be listening to this either live or on replay that might actually not know what homeopathy is. Would you mind sharing exactly what that paradigm looks like and how it differs from, I guess, the mainstream medical model as we know it. Obviously, you mentioned one is about treating symptoms and the other one is about preventing.
Yeah. So do we have 3 hours to talk about this? No, right?
How many episodes?
Yeah. No. Look, homeopathic medicine is natural medicine. We take natural products to come from plants, from animals, and from minerals, and we dilute them many, many, many times. The more diluted the medication is, or the substance is, in science, the less material you have. It's more alcohol than actually the essence of the material that you put in there. But the more the dilutions you do, the deeper the medication works. That means the more that you can treat emotional symptoms. The lower the dilutions, like the less dilutions that you make, the more physical symptoms that you treat. And then what happened here is that homeopathic medicine has 7 rules that I'm not going to go through them. Don't worry, that could be maybe boring. But it has 7 rules that we work with. But the main one that I always like to do for absolutely everything I do in life, not just for medicine, but also for things that you do, how you talk with other people, how you work, how you study, and the things, is the law of individuality. Like each one of us is different. Each one of us has their own individuality, which means you get sick your way. You respond to things your own way. Like no one in this world is going to respond the same way as you to something. So you deserve to have your own type of medicine. And that's the difference with allopathic medicine, that if we are 5 people here or 6 people here and we all get flu, we receive the same medication. We receive maybe the same antibiotics or something like that. As with homeopathy, we have to go through your physical symptoms, but your emotional symptoms as well, and try to see what is the relationship between your emotions and you getting sick. And then you prescribe a specific medication for one person. As an example, as I mentioned, maybe we all get sick, but I get indifferent. I'm like, I don't care. I don't want to do anything. One of you get really upset. Like, it's like, you have the pain and you're like really upset all the time. And maybe one of you get depressed. So we all get a different kind of signature to our illness. And the way we are is the way we get sick. So the more, for example, the more destructive our personality is, the more destructive the illness is going to show. If we go, for example, for cancers, there 3 women can have breast cancer, but one of them will have some pus and bleeding and things like that, because there maybe, emotionally speaking, a lot of destruction was in their life. Like I'm talking about a lot of resentment, a lot of anger, and they express that like that. Someone will get maybe a really big breast, like a big lump, a big tumor, which is someone that is maybe more hyper type of personality, that is always like loud and this, and maybe another one is going to get just a little lump, small one that grows really slowly, and they have like really a hypo type of personality, like more relaxed, more introverted. So it depends a lot on your personality, how you get sick. And then every time you get sick, you just think what happened before that, and see your emotions, how were happening around there, and then you say, okay, well, actually, that's why it's getting that bad, because maybe I was really upset about this, or I was really too stressed about this, and I was reacting in this way that was very aggressive, or in this way that was kind of very quiet, and I was intimidated, and I just wanted to stay at home. So your symptoms are going to be related a lot in what type of personality you have.
Because they talk about homeopathy sort of dealing with like for like. Is that so? What can you just explain what they mean by that?
That's one of the 7 rules that I told you. Like there's 7 rules. One of them is that's the famous one. That's the one that everybody talks about, and that's actually the one that I use the less. But what it says is that you get sick, you get cured with something that causes the same thing in a person that is not sick. For example, onion. If you are chopping onion, what happened? Like you start like getting runny nose, runny eyes, and the thing. But there's one medication that is called allium cepa, which is onion, and is used for high fever. So it has the same symptoms. So that's the like for like of everything. I don't use that one too much. It's like, that's more for research when you're creating a new medication or something like that. And that's how we read. One of the way we write the books of homeopathic medicine have been written, like knowing what the product is doing, And then, for example, I would say, if I want to see if chili is a good medication for burning sensation, because if you rub chili on your hand, you feel like it's burning, maybe I can create chili as a medication and put it on someone with a skin burn and see what happens. Haven't done that. I haven't thinking on that one, but it's too much work to do that. But anyway, but that's one of the laws. But as I mentioned, there are many laws. There's the one that is the principle of your vital force, which is the strong, like, depending on your vital force is the concentration that we give you. It's not the same someone that is like a young person, athletic, and the thing that someone that is really sick on bed with no energy. I won't give the same the same potency, because medications work with your energy. Then if you don't have energy and I put you on a high one, I'm going to want to use all your energy and maybe I can kill you. That's when they say that homeopathic medicine is safe. If you don't know how to prescribe, no, it's not safe. Like, it's safe as any other thing in life if you know how to prescribe it. Like, if someone comes and tells you, just take this one because it's helping me, doesn't mean that it's going to help you. Number one, because you two are different. And number two, because, again, the vitality and the inner force that each one of us have is different. So,
and a lot of work that you do is asking people questions about, what are they going through? And I always find, in my own experience with you, is that, it's not just walking in, what's your problem, what's your symptom, and it's not just a very physical symptom and here's a drug, a blanket solution. I think that it's to hear just that level of prescription based on a lot of energetic properties and understanding it's not all about objective, I have a fever, it is this amount on a thermometer, and XYZ, where it's like very objective data. I think having that level of subjectivity understands people at a lot better level, where you can be highly prescriptive and create that bespoke solution to help them manage, which I think a lot of people probably didn't know. Is there anybody in here who knew all of that? Anyone? Yeah. People were like, no, I have no idea. I can see you want to say something, Chelsey. I'm watching your body language.
I think that people are just used to going to the doctors and having their 15-minute maximum consult. And unfortunately, how you're feeling, Ted, is just, I've got the sweats, or I've got this, or I've got that. It's like a physical, what's showing physically. There's not really anything spoken about emotionally. And so that whole question that Oz was like saying is like, what is your body telling you? And we need to pick up on ourselves, and we don't pick up on what is our body telling us. And it can start with a little tap, and then as we know, it gets bigger and it gets bigger. And unfortunately, sometimes it is until it presents as a cancer or like something chronic, until we wake up and listen to it. And it is always attached to an emotion as well. And that's what I love seeing with people and connecting. And when you can connect the dots, when you have, I know that you guys would do it too, when you listen to your patient and you're like, oh, okay, well, how are you feeling then? Or what emotional stage, what emotions were you going through then? And then they go, like that moment.
Moment.
Moment. I love that aha moment, and it just clicks. And to me, that is acknowledging your body. That's acknowledging the trauma that you were going through at that time. And I think that acknowledgement's needed for healing too. Yeah.
And I think the biggest challenge is that the way that we perceive health, it doesn't educate people about being intuitive and understanding. And I know from my own experience, and anybody else that's in here who's sort of been through a similar type of situation where they've developed symptoms, they've gone and spoken to their GP. Normally the process is you have the symptom, you don't really know what it is. You go to the GP goes, this is what you have. Here's a drug. Also, you need to go speak to this specialist. You get a referral. Then you wait a long, long time to get to the specialist, and you pay a lot of money. And the specialist goes, you need to get a scan. You need to get a blood test. And then you get the blood test. But meanwhile, you're still getting sicker. And then that specialist looks after that one part of your body. They break the body up into individual siloed systems. So when they look at you, they don't look at your your energetic state. They don't ask you questions about your emotions, typically, unless they're a psychologist. But then they break your body up into all of these separate systems, not really acknowledging the fact that everything is like this. You are one big system that integrates. And if you've got a machine with a broken cog, what happens to the rest of the machine? It will function for a little while, but eventually other parts of the machine will try and compensate, and then they'll break, and then you get this massive system breakdown. And for anybody that's gone down that mainstream medical path of trying to understand their own healing journey, it's very frustrating. It's frustrating, it's expensive, and it's very time consuming. I mean, I know when I first got sick, it took years. I'm not even exaggerating, years. And I had an oncologist because I had a tumor in my brain. I had a cardiologist because I had a hole in my heart. I had an endocrinologist because I had hormonal problems. I had a psychologist, a psychiatrist, a general practitioner who was trying to oversee all of these things. Not to mention the gastroenterologist, the orthopedic specialist. It's like there's probably about 10 different people, and you're trying to seesaw between all of them and understand that you're still a human being with feelings. And then on top of that, they're like, oh, by the way, you have depression and anxiety. Well, of course, most people who are going through that.
It's scary.
It is scary, right? And you don't know how to cope and deal. And I think when we look at all of the people caught in that trap of the system, if we can normalize this level of conversation where people feel that it's okay to explore other options. I mean, it's called, I always call it integrative practice. People talk about complementary. That still, I feel like, and correct me if you disagree, but complementary is almost like you've still got this main thing and this thing is supposed to complement. It's secondary, right? And I think when we look at the body as an integrated model and the source of healing as an integrated model, that is where people can then find the thing that works. And look, some people, homeopathy may not work because they don't understand it or they don't allow it to do the job. And that's okay. But nothing ventured, nothing gained. If you haven't tried it and you don't understand what it is, how can you appreciate something if you don't understand it? And I think the biggest challenge is those barriers. And across all of the things that we individually do, the lymphatic system, most people don't even know what that is. They only know when it's too late, and they have a lymphedema. People don't even know what lipedema is most of the time, or they're sent to get surgery on a vein. They're sent to get surgery on a vein because they've got varicose veins, and they don't really understand that at the core of all of that, there is a lot of underlying inflammation, toxicity. It's really teaching people and educating people that there are other options, right?
Yeah.
And I think here, an important point to understand, like for people to understand, is that, as you mentioned, this so-called complementary medicine is not complementary. It's actually as you say, it's an integrated medicine. We integrate different things to get to an answer. As with allopathic medicine, we just cut things. We just it's like if your stomach come by itself and say, I'm sick. No, the stomach is part of the rest of the body. It's like the breast come by itself. I've never seen a breast coming by itself, unless it's a prosthesis that goes out, right? That's the only way. Other than that, no. So we are, like I said, it's like we are a whole thing, and it has to be treated like that. It has to be taken into consideration, every single part of your body, as well as your brain. Your brain is not a separate structure from, like, your personality, your emotions are not separate from your body. Like, you create those emotions the same way you created symptoms in your body. But that's something that when I talk with my patients and I ask them about emotional things, they get, okay, why are you asking me for this? Like, my doctor never asked me for these things. Yeah, that's a thing. That's a problem. And that's why you are still sick. And that's why you have been having this problem for 5, 6, 10 years. Because no one has been putting all together in a box and say, yes, this is the whole problem. This is the root of the problem. Like, we're just chasing the tails, as in what I'm talking about is in the traditional medicine. We're just chasing the tails here and there and there and there, and then even doctors don't talk between them. Like, as you say, you have 10 different doctors. I want to know which one of them consider someone else's job to say, okay, let's see if we can do something together. Not even that. They don't have the time, and they don't even have the I don't know if the capacity or how to say it, to connect the dots and say, oh, look, if she's having all these problems, well, what is happening that is causing all these problems on her? As with this type of medicine, we do that. Like we try to find, and as I mentioned, and when you asked at the beginning, how brought me to, or this connection with you, the two of you, is because I also need to work with the lymphatic system, but I'm not an specialist on that. So that's why I have Chelsey. And then I still have to work with how people move and how people do all the basic things like breathing, eating, and the things. And that's why we have lost here. So it's a whole integration of things. Like I don't have the answers for absolutely everything. I would like to, but it would be too much work for me. But that's why connecting this type of conversations and having this type of conversation give us all that kind of integrative medicine that should be the next or the new type of medicine that we go from now. Like COVID left us with all these deficiencies on our medical system. Like doctors were kind of collapsing because they didn't know what to do. As with not homeopathic, but sorry, with all these other integrative treatments, there were much, much better results with patients than putting them at the hospital.
And I think because you're looking after people's well-being as well. You know, my grandfather died in a COVID ward not that long ago, and it was terrible. It was terrible what happened to him. He was very alone. He was very afraid. And, you know, I'm upset that happened. And it's hard to deal with that because, you know, he was just a number, and he had lovely care staff, and, you know, the people that were looking after him at a personal level were very good. But the system for him, he shouldn't have ended up there in the first place. And that's a whole other conversation. But, you know, we've all been affected by mismanagement of health with someone. And we've all probably got stories within us, you know, and if you're listening to this, you can probably think of a situation where you've been frustrated or you felt like your answers haven't been answered, right? And so, yeah, I think leaving this conversation today, hopefully you've walked away just with a little bit more of an expansion of knowledge. And the more that you're able to engage with this level of learning, it means that your scope of understanding, all of a sudden, this is where you started. Now you've got Chelsey, now you've got Oz, now you've got Loz, now you've got other people in the group. You've just all of a sudden in one conversation gone from this to this. You know more, and you don't know what you don't know. And this is what I say to clients all the time. You don't know what you don't know. Question everything. But once you learn something, you can't unlearn that. And it may not apply to you right now. It may not be for a little period of time when you need it, but it may not be about you. It may be that somebody comes into your circle of influence, has a challenge, and you go, hey, have you heard of this? Yeah. Maybe talk to this person. And I think when practitioners can collaborate, and I think that's the word of today, is it's all about collaboration. I think systematically, if we can collaborate rather than be in competition with people and say, oh, that doesn't work or that doesn't work, which is kind of how we've been programmed to see it. I think that's where the community will learn to thrive and start empowering themselves to be able to make more informed decisions about their future.
Yeah, 100%.
Would you agree?
Yeah. So my takeaway from today, I'm going to share. So I went to a talk the other night, Doctors Against Mandates talk, and a couple of things that happened. So he spoke about that the third highest killer in the world is medications, pharmaceuticals, and doctors doing surgeries that shouldn't happen, and, you know, on the medicals. That's the third highest killer in the world after stress and heart disease, whatever the top two are. But one thing that came from that, and I'm going to be a little bit vulnerable here, is that they asked health professionals in the room to stand up, and there would have been a couple of hundred people in the room. And I didn't stand up because I didn't put myself in that medical health professional, you know, that I'm a naturopath. I've been doing this for 20 something years and everything else, but I didn't stand up. And my partner's like, are you going to stand up? I'm like, no, I'm not going to stand up. And then one of the ladies that got on stage and spoke, she was a naturopath nutritionist. And I'm like, okay. So from our conversation today, thank you guys. I'm going to stand up. Okay. And be that, take that health professional role, because you don't have to have a doctor of something or professional something or whatever in front of your name. So that's me. That's what I'm taking away
love
from
that.
today. So thank you, guys. And yeah, thank you everybody for joining too. And I would love to know what your takeaways are, if you're willing to share with us today, or if you want to like to in the chat, or let us know later. It's really good to have a takeaway from when you listen to something.
And what about you, Oz? What was your biggest takeaway from today?
That is scary to talk in front of the computer.
You did well. And guys, if you have any questions, please don't be scared. I always say, if you've got a question, ask it. There's never a silly question. At the end of the day, be brave, have courage. Don't wait to be invited for your life, because if that's how you are in life, it'll take you a very long time to achieve your goals. So be brave, ask the question, don't wait for the invite. Thanks so much for joining us. We'll try and work out how we'll join Chelsey's Facebook group. So if you're already in Chelsey's Facebook group, you have nothing you need to do, but Oz and I will hop in there as well. And if you've got any questions, please send us a message in the group. We'd love to answer them for you. This is what we're here. We're not here to sell you anything. We're here to give you information. At the end of the day, that's what we're all passionate about in our own little scopes of practice. And together, we know that we can help you guys expand your knowledge base. And thank you so much, Michelle, for your lovely comment in the chat. I don't know if people can read that. It said, Michelle popped in a line. Brilliant. Thank you for all the intel and insights. I'm at work and have been listening in the background. Have courage is my takeaway. Also, hi, Chelsey X.
Hey, Michelle.
So, thank you so much, guys. We're going to wrap this up now, but please join us next week. If you can't join us live, please look for the replay. We will distribute the replays to our own individual channels. Please come and find us. You got Oz. So Oz is on Instagram as Dr. Oz Cooley. You can see Vivitality. If you just move out of the way of your background, people will be able to see how to spell it. There you go. Vivitality. I'm Loz Antonenko from Loz Life. You can find me anywhere. Just look up Loz, Anton, and then the rest of it will just come, because you probably won't be able to spell it. Chelsey's everywhere. Look up the boob lady, the boob queen, or something. I'm sure she'll come up there.
Anything.
In her till. But thanks so much. It's been really great, guys. Appreciate you hanging out, and we'll see you real soon.
See you guys.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.